let's get going. Quick introduction. My name is Leonard Thomas. I have been selling homes for over 33 years. I've helped close to 1,500 families buy, sell, and lease homes in my career. And I've been training agents for almost 3 decades also. I just started dipping my toe in the social media pool about 7 weeks ago, and my real estate channel is going to be very different than some of the other real estate channels you find out there, in that I'm not trying to find buyers and sellers that want to use my services. My videos are actually designed to help other realtors in their business overcome obstacles, learn from the mistakes that I've made in my 33-year career. Hi, Mark. Hi, March. And so my lives and my videos are about trying to help other agents. So if you're joining us today, thank you so much. And if you have any questions about your business, please just drop your questions in the comments. If there's a weak link in any of your processes, drop it down in the comments and I'll try to answer. And hi, Mark. Hi, T. And if you're not in real estate, but you're joining us today, fantastic. You might just be interested in what realtors talk about when they're going live. But if you have a question about buying or selling a home, hi, Kiki, feel free to just drop a question in the comments below. Mark, I think I remember your name from our follower list. Are you a realtor? And if so, in what market are you? Hi, QRAD. And of the people watching today, if any of them are followers on my account, did you guys, hi, Huffle, hi, Holly Moon, did y'all see my video that I posted last night about squalls? How's it going, Anthony? Have y'all seen the video that I posted last night about update list? Mark, hey, Mark, I sent you a DM, Mark, so that I can send you the update list. I don't know if you've gotten it yet. Hi, Neuroscience Guy. So I did post a video last night about update lists. And I wanted to talk, hi Gus, I wanted to talk a few minutes about update lists. You know, most realtors, and not all the realtors, and no one watching this live, of course, but a lot of realtors have a very fancy 4-step marketing plan. Does anyone know what those 4 steps are? Step 1, put a sign in the yard of the listing. Step 2, put a key box on the front door. Step 3, put the information about the home in the multiple listing service. And then the very, very fanciest of 4th steps, pray that someone else sells it. And again, if you're watching right now, you may think that's ridiculous, but I've been doing this for 33 years. I've taught hundreds of classes, spoken to thousands of realtors, and this is really all that there is on their marketing plan. So one of the things that I do in all of my listings, well, the listings where I can do it, is I put an update list together. Hi, Sean. Good morning. Hi, Brevi. And the importance of the update list is this. When an agent is showing a listing to a buyer, they may pass on the information from the multiple listing service printout, but the agent representing the buyer doesn't know a lot about the property other than the MLS. Hi, Preston, Danelle, IU, and Donnell. So I want to give as much information to the showing agent and the buyer as possible to increase the chances that they remember my listing, to increase the chances that they like my listing, to increase the chances that they think my listing is more valuable than the other listings they're going to look at that day. And one of the ways I do this is with an update list. And I brought out some samples. Now, if you want me to email you some samples of my update list, just send me a DM on TikTok or Google me and send me an email on my regular email address, and I will send you examples. But for example, and I don't know how good this is going to be on an iPhone camera, but I'm going to try. So if you can see, I have a picture of some feature of the home that stands out in the background. I'm going to bring it up to the camera. And then I have the year that the update was done. Hi, Alyssa. And then I have what was done, and then I have the approximate amount in the update list. So when someone goes into my listing and they're showing my listing, not only am I going to have brochures, hi, Siri. What's this live about? Obviously real estate, but like once licensed. Hi, Cyrie. So my name is Leonard Thomas. And for anyone joining right now, quick introduction for the new folks. My name is Leonard Thomas. I've been selling homes for over 33 years, and I've been training agents for almost that long. I've helped close to 1,500 families buy, sell, lease, and invest in real estate. And I just started doing social media about 7 weeks ago. And my social media is geared towards not finding myself buyers and sellers, but is geared towards other agents, trying to help other agents be better. I love giving back to the real estate community. I've been training for 3 decades. So all of my videos are about helping other agents become more successful. And my lives are about trying to answer questions that realtors may have about their processes, about what I do. I hate to say to be successful, but to have the success that I've had. So, Cyrie, that's what this live is about. So on the update list, when you go into one of my listings, not only will there be a stack of brochures, but there will also, and I say a stack, it's in a brochure holder, but there'll be a separate brochure holder. Thank you, Alex. Hope you're having a great morning. And but there'll be a separate holder that has these update lists. Do you want to see another one? If you want to see another one, say yes in the comments, so I know I'm not boring you. Well, Hugo, I got a yes. Perfect. Okay, so here is another listing that I had. This one was sort of big. This was about a $4 million listing. So they bought it, and then they started doing lots of updates almost immediately. So I sold this one during COVID. So I literally put updates since 2019. So instead of having a whole column that just said 2019, 2020, 2000, whatever, I just did all updates since 2019. Now, if you do an update list, I do not want you to get in trouble. Look what I put in the lower corner. All figures are approximate and supplied by the, well, I put figures approximate and provided by the homeowner. Thank you for the shout out and the compliment, Alex. And I can say the same of you, my friend. So make sure on your update list that it's information that is being provided by the seller, and definitely say figures are approximate, because I don't want you to put, hi, Sakuna, good morning. I don't want you to put $375.28. So I say all figures are approximate and provided by the home seller, because you want to stay out of the firing line. So again, most realtors have that fancy 4-step marketing plan: sign in the yard, key box on the door, information in the MLS. Step 4, pray that someone else comes and sells it. It's really, really important if you want to be successful in real estate, if you want a long-lasting career in real estate, if you want people to choose you when they're interviewing realtors, that you differentiate yourself from everyone else that they've talked to, that they've met. So this is one way you can have an update list. So I have a listing appointment tonight at 6. They called me on the phone. What's today? Today is Tuesday. They called me on the phone on Saturday. They had found me online. They were talking to a bunch of people on the phone first. They had been in the home for 20 years. They said they were going to talk to a bunch of people this past weekend and all this week. And then next week, they were going to contact the 2 or 3 agents that they wanted to interview in person. And then the following week, 2 weeks from now, they were going to choose a realtor to move forward with. Well, I talked with them on Saturday. Then they texted me back on Sunday and said, can you meet with us next Saturday? And I said, absolutely, fantastic. Hi, Christian. Thanks for joining. Not sure why you're joining, Christian, but talk to you later. So they called me back the very next day, Sunday, 2 days ago, and said, can you meet with us next Saturday, 4 days from now? And I said, absolutely. We set up a time. And then they sent me a new text last night, and they said, can you come tonight at 6 p.m.? So I'm not saying I'm going to get the listing, because I haven't even met them yet. I haven't seen the property yet, but it's a pretty decent sign when they were going to not pick someone for 2 weeks, but now they're meeting me 3 days later. And so one of the things that I'll definitely bring for this listing presentation is the update list. And one of the reasons I'm going to bring this update list to show them this is important, because when I was on the phone with them Saturday afternoon, they went on and on about all the updates they've done to the home. They went on and on about how much money they spent on the home. So every seller is different, okay? Most sellers, absolutely, they want the highest possible net when they're going to sell their home, but every seller is going to be a little different. I'm in Dallas, and I've been doing real estate for 33 years, so I run into a whole lot of engineers. The way that engineers process information collect information, receive information is very different than the artistics and the creative types. So one of the things I think is really important that realtors should be able to do is figure out the personality of the people you're talking to and cater your services and definitely your presentation around that personality. So the fact that they went on for several minutes just listing all the things they've done to their home leads me to believe, obviously, that the money they've invested is very important to them. Well, what better way to connect with them and create value with them than to show them that part of my marketing is highlighting all the money they've spent on the home, all the money they've spent updating and upgrading the home. So again, if you're in real estate and you're watching right now, hey Joseph, hi Hugo, thank you so much. I'm talking briefly about how to stand out when you're doing a listing presentation, and I have a listing presentation this evening. So I don't know, Nita, my friend from Oklahoma, how are you? So I hope to go live tomorrow. I'm not sure what my schedule is, but I definitely, if anyone watching right now, shows up tomorrow, I'll definitely talk about the listing presentation last night. So, hello. Hugo, just passed this test in California. Congratulations. Yep, here are the three things, Hugo. And if you're not following my channel, please do, because anything I'm about to tell you, I'm pretty sure I've done videos on just this. So make sure you follow the channel. But here are the three things you need. Nope, I'm going to add a fourth one just for you. Other people watching, don't listen to me. But Hugo, I'm going to give you four. The first one I generally don't talk about, but it is this. Forget everything you just memorized to pass the real estate exam. I have a broker's license in California, now expired, but I had a broker's license in California, and I am now in Texas. And I can tell you 96% of everything you just memorized over and over and over again to pass the test, you will never see in your entire career. Okay, so forget everything you just learned. Number one. Number four. Let's go to number one. Number one, having said that, don't stop learning, okay? And it sounds cliche, but hear me out. You learned a bunch of stuff that I don't think is going to have anything to do with your career, but a lot of people get their license and then they just start going and doing real estate, and they don't worry about learning again until they have continuing education requirements to renew their license. Or if you get invited to an escrow company or a new home builder, they may invite you to a lunch, give you a free lunch, and make you listen to a roofer, a foundation company, or something. I want you to learn every single day, Hugo, okay? So every time you go on a listing agreement, every time you go and you show homes, every time you hold an open house, I want you to open up your iPhone to the Notes app or open up a notebook and write down, if you prefer visually writing something down. Figure out three things, whether it was an objection you couldn't overcome, maybe you said something really good at an open house that you want to remember. Just write down three things. And then if it's an objection, go back to your office, talk to your broker manager, team leader, send me an email. I'm happy to try to help you overcome the objection. If it's something you said that was really good, practice it, role play it, say it out loud in front of a mirror. But I want you to learn every single day, because what you're going to find in real estate is there are people that have been in the business 10, 15, 20, 33 years, but they're still only making $40,000 or $50,000, and not necessarily by choice. And those realtors generally just repeat the same year over and over and over again. They don't really grow. They don't really learn. So make sure you learn every day. That's number one. Number two, hey, one of the reasons you probably got into real estate is because you don't have a boss. You don't have set hours. You don't have accountability. There's no checks and balances. Every morning you can wake up and decide, am I going to go to the office? Am I going to go out door knocking? Am I going to go out and hustle and try to find home buyers and home sellers that need my services? Or am I going to choose door number two? And am I going to go out golfing with my friends? Am I going to go see a movie with my significant other? Am I going to sleep in? Am I going to party all night? So every morning as a realtor, we can make this decision. And it's really hard as a new realtor to keep choosing the hard party all night. So every morning as a realtor, we can make this decision. And it's really hard as a new realtor to keep choosing the hard path when the easy path was one of the reasons we got into real estate. So you to act like you are your boss. Have set hours. Block time every single day to prospect. Block time every single weekend to hold open houses, which is number 3. We'll talk about it in a minute. Have accountability, whether it's with your broker manager, your significant other, your best friend, but have accountability. Time block, track your expenses, track your mileage. Treat your business like a business, because if you treat it like a hobby, you're going to get paid like it's a hobby. Number 3, especially in your market, hold as many open houses as possible. Now, I'm trying to talk my buddy Kwok in San Jose to doing open houses every Saturday or Sunday, because he says he gets 30 to 40 groups of people through. And if you're down in SoCal, you might get just as many people through. But hold open houses every Saturday, every Sunday. I know you probably don't have any listings. Don't worry about it. There's a listing in your office that you can hold open, especially if it's vacant. Hold it open from 10 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon. That's the best way for new agents to run into home buyers and home sellers. So those are the 3 things. I hope you do all of them. Kwok asked me, what should you look for or highlight in a fixer upper? Kwok, do you mean if it's a flipper, like someone bought the home, fixed it up, and it's now on the market? Is that what you mean, Kwok? Or do you mean a home that needs work and it's on the market for purchase? Okay, so California and I'm in Texas, you're in California. You have about 100,000 more rules than we do in Texas. It's sort of, despite Texas being, I don't know, the 8th biggest economy in the world, or despite it being a huge state, we don't have a ton of those rules that I know y'all have out in California. So, I mean, out there, I don't know what to look for. Out here, it would be foundation, roof, the age of the air conditioning, which you may not even have a ton of in Southern California. I'm sorry, in San Jose. And the roof isn't even a big issue, as big an issue with you. Out here, we have hailstorms, 10 times a year in Dallas, somewhere in Dallas. So out here, roof is real important because you might need a updated roof. Foundation is real important because we have a lot of home settling. You don't have as much out there. And I know a lot of your houses probably don't even have air conditioning. So I apologize, Kwok. A little difficult for me to tell you what to specifically look for fixer-upper houses. We don't have a bunch out here. They go very, very quickly because our price range is so much lower than California that we have tons and tons. I mean, I'm going to say 100 investor buyers for almost every fixer-upper house out here. Let's see. I also recently posted a video where I said, hi, Martha. I don't think a realtor should leave the real estate office if they can't do these 3 things. These 3 things were be able to explain the listing agreement to the Martha. I'll talk about open houses and squalls. I'll need a little WH. Tell me what WH is, Kwok. I need a little help from the moderators remembering these 2 questions. The 3 things that I think a realtor shouldn't leave the office without being able to do. Uh, Explain a listing agreement to a home seller without looking at the listing agreement. Explain a purchase contract to a buyer or a seller without looking at the agreement. And 3, a realtor should be able to calculate the principal and interest portion of hi, Leonardo, the principal and interest portion of a mortgage payment. When I posted that video about when I posted that video, I had a lot of people in the comments that said, I agree with 1 and 2. An agent should be able to explain the listing agreement and the purchase agreement before they leave the office. But I got a lot of pushback from realtors saying, absolutely not. Realtors should absolutely not do anything that has to do with a principal and interest payment. And I thought at first there might be some miscommunication. I thought at first that the agents thought I was recommending that other agents be able to pre-qualify their buyer, or maybe I thought they were misunderstanding that I was suggesting that the realtor representing a buyer should be able to tell a buyer what their entire payment would be: principal, interest, taxes, insurance, HOA, PMI, MIP, VA funding fee, flood insurance, whatever else, Mellarus if you're in California, whatever else, PID if you're in Texas, whatever else you may have. And I wasn't saying that, although I don't think there's any magic to doing that. All I was saying is, in my 33-year+ career, there have been hundreds, no exaggeration, hundreds of times I've been in a either with a buyer or with a seller where being able to calculate the principal and interest portion only of a mortgage was super helpful and created a ton of value. And I'm going to give you one example, and then I'm going to get to your questions. Here's one example. You're talking to your buyer. Let's say you've been looking for at homes for a couple of weeks, and they've already been pre-approved with a lender. So you're not trying to qualify them at all. And let's say when you first started looking at homes, that the interest rate they were getting quoted was 7%. Now, as we know, interest rates change all day of every business day based on markets, but let's say it was 7%. And let's say their lender has already told them your total payment, of course, they don't know the property yet, so they're guesstimating taxes, they're guesstimating insurance, but let's say the lender did a cost fee worksheet and said your total payment of a house, $500,000 at 7% with all the other taxes and insurance guessed is $2,600, okay, at 7%. If you're with that buyer 2 weeks later and they say, oh, wow, I saw that rates went up to 7.5% yesterday, how does that impact my monthly payment? In my opinion, a realtor should be able to answer that question on their own without calling their lender, because it would take me 5 seconds on a financial calculator to answer that question. I'm not telling them what their total payment is. All I'm telling them is what changes if rates go up 0.5%. And you can do that on a financial calculator. If anyone wants to see it, drop a comment or send me a DM and maybe I'll do a video about it. But I was just so surprised. I must have had 10 realtors in my comments saying that I need to stay in my lane, that you should call a lender. And I'm like, listen, if it's 8 p.m. on a Saturday and I'm talking with my buyer about making an offer on a property and they're talking about discount points or rising interest rates, I'm not going to call a lender at 8 p.m. on Saturday. I'm going to pull out my iPhone, and then I'm going to pull out the financial calculator app on my iPhone, and I'm going to tell them the number. It takes 5 seconds. So if you have any comments about that, if you don't have a financial calculator app on your iPhone, love you, but shame on you. Get it on there. If you don't know how to use it, let me know and we'll get it figured out together. Okay, some questions. What's your approach to negotiating after the inspection? Love the question. So squalls, are you saying because it's two big differences, representing the seller or representing the buyer? So squalls, which direction? Buyer in a seller's market. Buyer in a seller's market. Okay, so in Texas, I don't know how it is in New York, but in Texas, we have what's called an option period. I don't know what it's called in New York. In California, I think they call it a due diligence period. In some places, it's called an inspection period, but it's a negotiable, it's not a set time, it's a negotiable time period. Usually it's negotiated to 7 or 8 days. And during those 7 or 8 days, the buyer does the inspections and they just, we get an 80-page PDF report. We discover all these things that, are deficient in the property that honestly, the seller probably didn't know the majority of them or they would have disclosed them. And then what the buyer does is they ask the seller to do repairs. Now, in Texas, our contracts are as-is contracts, which means no matter what is wrong in the inspection, there could be radon gas, there could be carbon monoxide leak in the house. The roof could be leaking water as we're talking about it in the kitchen. The foundation could be crumbling. In Texas, our real estate contracts are as is. Sellers don't have to fix anything. Sort of spooky, except the balance to that power is that during the option period, which again is usually 7 or 8 days, the buyer has the unilateral right to terminate the contract for whatever reason they want, and then they get their earnest money back. So that is to say, sellers don't have to fix anything in Texas, but buyers could then walk away, and then sellers have to disclose anything that the buyers found that was wrong, which means full circle, and I'll answer your question more directly in a moment. Most sellers in Texas are open to negotiating reasonable repairs because better the devil you know than the next buyer, the devil you don't know, A. B, all the things that the seller just discovered from the buyer that don't work with the home, they now have to disclose in the future, and they may have this issue with the next buyer. So when I'm representing the buyer in a negotiation, I'm not going to tell you that part of what I say. What I generally do is we generally don't want the seller. I'm going to go all over the place because it's complicated. So I'll tell you when to asterisk. We will put the repairs we want on an amendment. And what I generally do, I wish I had one for you. Send me an email, Squalls. I'll send you an example. What I do is I put the repairs in sections: roof, AC, HVAC, electrical, plumbing, swimming pool, miscellaneous. So instead of having 27 things, I may still have 27 things, but it's only in 4 categories. I've been on the other side of a table. The optics of it is a little better when it's in high B. I am going to talk to me into a wraparound without information. That's not fantastic, B. I'll get to your question, but it's a couple of questions from now. So I try to put my buyer's repair request in sections because the optics, it makes it look a little less. What generally happens in my market is then the seller doesn't want to get in the repair business. So the seller will generally offer back, hey, instead of doing these repairs, we'll give you X thousand dollars. We don't mind the X thousand dollars on the buy side, except if we have what I call question mark repairs. Question mark, now I've been doing this 33 years, as you know, and I've seen, I don't know, 2,000 inspection reports in my career. So with probably a 99% certainty, I can see anything on an inspection report and have a good idea within a couple $100 how much it's going to cost to fix, except for question mark repairs. And what I mean by that is this: here in Texas, it gets hot, gets cold too, but it gets hot. So generally, when we see in an inspection report that what's called the delta T, the AC is supposed to cool between 15 and 22 degrees, inflow, outflow. Well, when we see that it's a little low, 10, 11, 12, or a little high, 22, 23, 24, I'm going to say 90% of the time we see that, it just needs Freon. But the other 10% of the time, there's a leak in the coil, the unit's old and needs to be replaced, the compressor needs to be replaced, it's an electronic component. So instead of an AC visit and Freon, $300 or $400, it's a coil replacement, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. So when I'm representing the buyer, I don't mind, and it's not up to me, it's up to my client, but my advice to my client is money is okay, because then we can go make sure our guys do it the way we want it done. Money is okay, except for question mark repairs. We generally, my advice to my clients, my buying clients are, we generally want the seller to do the question mark repairs because we don't know if it's going to be 300 probably, or the nightmare situation, 3,000. So that's how we negotiate it. And if there's a follow-up question that Squalls, let me know. Okay, we had another question. Do you find Martha? Martha, are you still watching? If you're still watching, I will talk about open houses. Southlake. So I love Southlake. Sold a bunch of homes out in Southlake. Great area, expensive homes. So I'm a big fan of open houses. I think it's one of the best ways for, and I just did an MCA class last week on open houses in Dallas. Martha, wish you could have been there. But we're doing one again soon. So follow my channel and send me a DM. I'll let you know when we're doing it. Or there's a link tree in my TikTok bio with a newsletter that has all my Dallas area MCA classes. So 3 big things, and again, I'm not plugging my own stuff because I'm not getting paid, but there's videos on open houses. But here are 3 awesome things about open houses, Martha. I don't know how many signs you put up, but definitely out in Southlake, you want to put at least 10 to 12, 15 signs up. Most realtors do 3, 4, or 5. You want to put 10, 12, 14 or more. I held a bunch of, I had a big listing up in Prosper that I was getting last month that I was getting 15 to 20 groups through, but I had probably 15 signs up. So one, put a lot of signs up, especially out in Southlake. I don't know when you hold your houses, open. Most realtors do 12 to 2, 1 to 3, 2 to 4, 3 to 5. What do you notice about all of those times? They're all 2 hours. Um, send Follow the channel, join the newsletter. I'll send you an email where I get my signs, because it is an investment, 1 to 4. So hold it open at least 3 hours, if not 4 or 5 hours. And then here's a great open house technique, and there's a video on it if you don't catch it all. So out in South Lake, I don't know if you're holding a house open, it's probably 800,000. I know there's smaller homes, but the average, I'm guessing, is probably 800,000. But if you're holding a house open, let's say out there in Whitechapel for $800,000, when people come into your open house, they may be looking for something a little smaller, a little less expensive, or they may be looking for something bigger, more expensive. So instead of holding that house open, having someone walk in and say, hey, I love this area. We're looking the South Lake, Grapevine, Colleyville, Keller area. We want the school district, but we need a lot more square footage. Most realtors, not saying you, Martha, but most realtors would say, well, if you want to give me your name and number, I'll do some homework, call you back. Be better than most realtors. Since people coming into your open house are going to be looking for bigger homes and looking for smaller homes, I want you to do homework. And if Nita's still watching, you better have done your Oklahoma open house homework for this weekend. What I want you to do, Martha, is go find 3 houses that are less expensive than the house you're holding open, say like 20% less. Go find 3 homes that are 20% more expensive nearby, and go preview all 6 homes and learn about all 6 homes. Back when I was doing 50 to 100 open houses a year, I would have 3x5 cards, and I'd have the address on one side and 4 or 5 things: the age, the price, the square footage on the other. But go learn and memorize 6 houses. And then when you hold and I call it the 3 up, 3 down technique. And then when you're holding an open house this Sunday, and you're holding that $800,000 house open, and the person comes in, and you're showing them around, your first goal is to sell that listing. So every person that walks in, you're going to try to sell them that listing. But if you discover after you've shown them, or through showing them, that they're either not qualified for that amount, or they're looking for something much bigger, I think it's totally okay that you discuss their wants and needs, and you figure out if you have any services that might help them move pegs forward in their home buying or home selling process. So once you discover that house doesn't work for them because they're looking for something smaller, then you can say, oh, fantastic, there's actually a home 3 streets away in this subdivision. It's at 1400 Breckenridge Boulevard, and it's only 3,265 square feet, and they're asking $675,000. But they've completely updated the kitchen. I don't know if you're a big cook, but they've done stainless steel appliances. They put quartz countertops. In fact, my open house is over at 4. I'm very happy to show you at 4:30 if you'd like to see it. So you see the big difference between creating value and telling them about a house and already having that knowledge in your head. Whereas most agents, again, will just say, well, if you want to give me your name and number, I'll do some homework, call you back. So those are the 3 big things: more signs, more hours, 3 up, 3 down technique. And again, there's some videos on my channel if you want to see that. Did that help, Martha? Michelle, I found a home that is offering an interest rate assumption on a VA loan, but I am a bank statement loan. Can I still? Oh, so that's a lender question that I probably am not qualified, no pun intended, to answer. I would say if you're a bank statement qualification, most VA loans are going to be a lot more qualification than that. So my guess is no, you would not qualify for a VA assumable. Well, it's a qualifying assumption, so no, I can say you wouldn't qualify unless I've got that very, very wrong. But please ask a lender. And if you need a lender referral, feel free to follow my page, send me a DM, and I will send you a couple of lenders. But my guess is no. If you're a stated income borrower, you would not qualify for a qualifying VA loan. Next question, Hugo, you asked about door knocking. Are you still on, Hugo? Oh, shoot. B, are you still on? B, you had a question. If you're still watching, B, please let me know. Let's see, Michelle, Monica, B, Hugo, are you still? Oh, Hugo, okay, you're still on. You asked about door knocking. What market are you in, Hugo? Did you tell me? Are you California? Just got your license in California, Hugo? Say yes, because I'm going to tell you how to door knock. Hi, Sandra. Thanks for joining. Yes, Central Valley. Okay. So as a new agent, I love door knocking. I'm old. I'm a grandfather. I've been doing this 33 years. I don't door knock anymore, but I did thousands of door knockings when I was probably your age, definitely when I was new in the business. So a great way to do door knocking is warm door knocking rather than just knocking. And I see a lot of realtors post videos where they're cold door knocking, where they're just, hey, my name is, John Smith. I'm with XYZ Realtor. I didn't know if you were interested in selling or something like that, which is fine if that's what you want to do. But I always tried to figure out a way to make my door knocking a warm door knock. So one of the ways, Hugo, and it ties into one of the three things I said you should be doing as a new agent, which is a ton of open houses. So I want you to have an open house on a Sunday from as many hours as you can, 12 to 5 if possible. But then starting like the Tuesday or Wednesday before that Sunday, I want you to go door knock around the neighborhood. And I want you to have a printout of the brochure, not the MLS printout. I want you to have a nice brochure. If you don't have it, not a big deal, but I want you to door knock on all the neighbors' doors. And I want you to say, hey, my name is Hugo Vera. I'm with XYZ Realty. And I just wanted to let you know that I'm holding your neighbor's house open, the Smiths, around the corner at 1400 Main Street this Sunday from 12 to 5 p.m. And I just wanted to give you the first opportunity to choose your new neighbors. Do you know of anyone thinking of moving into the area? Great, fantastic. Well, if you want to come see the home, you're welcome to come by. Again, I'll be there Sunday from 12 to 5. Here's a brochure. So you see, you're not asking, you're not selling, you're sort of being a little bit funny. Hey, I wanted you to have the first opportunity to choose your new neighbors, and then you're inviting them to the open house because we know a lot of neighbors come to the open house, especially when it's a new listing. So you could knock on 100 doors in a day. Again, I would do it with a brochure, but that's a great way to door knock. FSBOs and expired listings. Oh, canceled. Okay. That's a lot. And it's a different presentation. Here's the thing, Quack. Ready? My cold calling advice for expireds, canceled, withdrawns, and FSBOs. My cold calling advice. Are you ready? Ready to write it down, Quack? Because I'm going to skyrocket your business right now. Don't call. That's my advice. Don't call. Hundreds of realtors in San Jose are calling all these people. Hundreds of realtors in San Jose are sending crap in the mail to all these people. You know what hundreds of realtors are not doing in San Jose? Knocking on the door. There's a do not call list, Quack, but there is not a do not knock list, Quack. Say that 3 times quickly. Yes, it may say, no soliciting. And if it says no soliciting, don't knock on the door. But when I did for sale by owners, so when I first got in the business, I was 21 years old. This is in Texas. It was almost summer when it was 700,000 degrees and I was just a kid. And this is back before internet, right? So all I did all day long is drive up and down streets looking for those red and white for sale by owner signs. And all I did, hi, Austin Lynn, all I did was knock on for sale by owner doors. And one of the things that I would say to these people is, when I would get inside the home, we'd preview the home and we'd sit down and I'd say, let me ask you a question. How many realtors have called you on the phone? Because we did have it was called the Kohl's directory. So we had this big telephone book that used to have address phone numbers that realtors would use to call. So I used to ask home sellers, I would say, let me ask you, how many realtors have called you since you've been trying to sell your home by yourself? And they'd go, oh, dozens just this morning, this, that, and the other thing. I'd say, fantastic. And I'd say, how many realtors have sent you postcards or letters in the mail trying to talk to you about, they'd pull out, Quack, no lie. They would pull out a shopping bag and they'd show me postcards and letters and form letters. And I'd say, got it. Let me ask you a question. How many people have knocked on your door and wanted to meet you, wanted to learn about what you're trying to accomplish and offered services face to face? The answer was always 0. And I would say to them, fantastic. Listen, there's only 2 reasons that a realtor would call and they would mail, but they wouldn't knock on the door. They wouldn't be interested in meeting you face to face. They're either lazy or they're afraid. And I can assure you I'm neither of those things. So, and that's what I would say because my opinion, it's sort of the truth. So my opinion on how to connect with people that whose homes have expired, my opinion on how to connect with people whose homes have been, well, withdrawn means it's still listed. It's just not on the MLS. So don't call withdrawn. At least that's in Texas. That's what the verbiage is here. But if they're canceled, if they're expired, if they're for sale by owner, my suggestion is knock on the door, start there. Preferred paid lead services. I don't pay for any leads today, but I'm old. I've been in this business forever. I've sold, close to 1,500 homes. So fortunately, all that grind over 33 years, my business, hi, Juan Israel, most of my business is by referral. Prior to COVID, I paid the devil. I'm sorry, not the devil. I paid Zillow. I was advertising on Zillow probably close to $50,000 a year, but my return on it was probably between $225,000 and $325,000 a year. So I was getting about 5 or 6x on Zillow, but then Zillow really changed their business. The way they did business and diluted the zip codes. And then, of course, now they're trying to take over the entire real estate world. So they're not getting a dollar from me. But that's, I think, the only time that I paid for leads, and it was a great return. But today I don't pay for any. But I'm not saying there's not good. I'm not saying there's not services out there where it makes sense to do it. But I also think, especially if you're in a seller's market like you say you are, open houses from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday and Sunday is all the leads you're ever going to need. Property management, Quack. Um, I I don't love property management, so I don't do a lot of leasing, but I do 5 or 6 leases a year. But I do it for clients that have either bought a big house from me, and instead of selling the smaller house that they just moved out of, they want to lease it out. So I feel like I just help them buy a big house. I'm not going to make them hire someone else to lease their home. Or I have clients that have bought homes from me, and they're doctors or attorneys or where they have a lot of cash every year that they build up, and instead of putting it in the stock market or just leaving it in a savings account, they just want to buy rent homes. So every 18, 24 months, they'll call me up and say, hey, we have $400,000 to go buy a rent home. And literally, they don't even go see it. I just do the math, and they buy rent homes. So when they lease their properties, I go and lease it for them. So I tell these people, do not pay me to manage your property, which again is usually about 10% of the lease amount per month. Because I don't want to manage any property. It's not worth $300 per lease. But I tell them, listen, it's not difficult managing a property. This isn't my market. Out there, it might be different. I've leased, I don't know, several hundred properties in my 33-year career, and I have literally had one bad tenant in 33 years. Now, I am guessing that's very my market specific, and it's very my service specific. And what I mean by my service, I am extremely risk averse. I am very conservative, and my clients that ask me to lease their properties, I ask them, I say, listen, I'm very risk averse. I'm very conservative, but when it comes to who you allow to lease your home, you can be less risk averse than me, or you can, do, they go, no, you do it like it was your own home. So because I'm so risk averse, very, very picky with tenant selection, I've only had one issue in 33 years. But I imagine if a landlord is less picky about tenants, or it's a lower socioeconomic area where maybe there's more issues, then yeah, maybe property management is a tougher gig. But I would never, ever, ever get into property management. Hope that answered. Quack. Hugo, would you say hold an open house for the same house Saturday and Sunday or different homes? Probably different homes. If you can't find a different home, same home is fine. But if it's going to be a different home, I mean, if it's going to be the same home because you don't have another choice, no big deal. The thing is, Hugo, hold the open house because there's a better chance you're going to meet someone needing your home buying or home selling services doing an open house than sitting at your home. Make sense? Do I sign more clients as a new home consultant? I remember you, Juan Israel. You work for a custom home builder. How do I sign more clients as a new home consultant? It's a trick question because I don't know what the person you're working for is going to allow you to do. So it definitely, you have to talk to your boss or the owner of the company, because I'm sure the owner of the company wants you trying to sell new home builds, right? But talk with them, ask them what. Yes, I started in January. Oh, it's is it if it's your family business? Here's what you do. Here's what you do. You have to figure out a way to create value for the people walking into your model home. You have to figure out how to not sound like all the other realtors that they're, whose open houses they're going into. It's going to be a bit longer subject than I can do in the 2 minutes before TikTok turns me off here. But send me a DM and I'll try to send you some information.